Alright, so in this short video, I'm gonna talk about the importance of good eating habits for your child. Now, first of all, we all know that eating good is important. However, what's eating good depends on different people's and their thinking. Right now, I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, so I'm not gonna go into what is considered good and what is not good. I'm gonna give you my viewpoint, okay? In my viewpoint, having a diet that is, high in vegetables, having some good amount of protein like meats and eggs, and basically the natural foods, right? Meats, eggs, fish, nuts, vegetables, and fruits. But fruits to a lesser degree, just because there's a lot of sugar in there. But of course, it's a natural food, so it is much better than, let's say, sugars from a sweet drink. And like I said, this is my opinion. So for nutritional advice, go visit a very good nutritionist that can help you to plan a good nutritional planned diet for your child. Now, sometimes children, for example, they don't like eating vegetables. So how can we make it so that they do eat some veggies? I give you an example. My son, he doesn't like to eat too much vegetables, but he loves fruit. So I let him eat plenty of fruit, and I usually try to choose the ones that have a little bit less sugar, like berries. Now, the second thing I do is I put the vegetables, let's say, in a noodle soup. So I'm in Taiwan, so people like to eat noodle soup, right? So he does eat his vegetables when it's in a soup. Now, I also sometimes cook some thick soups, like a chowder or something. And I can also add some vegetables in there, which he does eat. And so that's a good way to do it. Another thing is you can put them through a blender and make them really, really small and add them into certain sauces you make. And you don't have to put too much so that it affects the taste too much. But if you can get at least some vegetables in your child, that's a great solution. So another thing you can do is to put 1, 2, or 3 little pieces of vegetables and encourage him to eat it. And then once he does eat at least one of them, you can reward him with a small snack that he likes. Now, please be advised, do not promise the snack before, because we don't want to be bribing the child. We want to give him a reward for having done the thing that you want him to do. Another idea you can do, and maybe this can be discussed with the school teacher, to see if there can be some education into what foods are considered healthy and which are not, and what the consequences are of eating unhealthy foods, right? Because a lot of times children just take the advice of another person than their parents more into consideration than when the parents saying it, just because they're so familiar with the parents. Now, one final point that is really important is to set a good example. If you eat unhealthy, high sugar foods, junk foods all the time, and your child sees it, and then you put some veggies in the front of his face, he'd be like, hey, what about you? You're not eating healthy. So you and the people around you should set a good example. All right, so let's get to work to implementing this in our lives.